All right. So, we're just gonna start with the song that I'd sent out, I think like 2 weeks ago, called "I Can Only Imagine." I assume you guys have heard it before. It's very popular.
Ever seen the movie?
Yeah, that's what we're. Oh, Andrew, you haven't seen it?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
Oh, watch it.
we're watching the movie trailer right now,
Ooh, okay.
and it is so good. Highly recommend. And I thought it was just like it. I think I love like the lyrics. I love the whole song, but the story behind it and like how the song was made, I think makes me appreciate it even more. So this just gives like a little clip. It doesn't give anything too much away in the movie, and it'll definitely make you want to watch it. So I'm gonna share my screen.
It's an amazing song.
Just kind of happened. Took about 10 minutes, I guess.
Bart, you didn't write this song in 10 minutes. It took a lifetime. How'd you do this?
You know, I've never told anybody my story. When I was 11 years old, life was tough.
Where's Mama?
She's gone. She don't want me no more. She don't want you neither.
And I've always loved music. And I found some songs that I held on to. It gave me hope.
Mercy me, that can't be his real voice.
Because I needed it. Dad, I can do this.
No, you can't. And you're going to blink your eyes and you're going to realize that life has got you nowhere because you chased some stupid dream.
I believe it. Shit.
I want you to know that I pray for you all the time. And I hope that you find whatever it is that you're looking for out there.
What are you running from?
My dad.
Then write about it. Let that pain become your inspiration.
I have some stuff I need to sort out. And I deal with it the only way I know how. And that's to write a song. Set the table. What is this?
I want to make things right. You and me.
My dad was a monster, and I saw God transform him.
You have a gift. Real gift.
I didn't think that God could do that. So I wrote this song for my dad.
So I wanted to show the trailer because it gives a little insight onto his story. And he's the lead singer of Mercy Me, which is one of my favorite like worship groups. And so definitely thought it was interesting to see more about his story and why he started like singing about God. And he's always been a big believer in God, but his dad was abusive, his dad was an alcoholic, and he didn't believe in God at all. And he then, like, not to give too much away, but like he got diagnosed with cancer. And when like in the movie it's a little, I like read the real story and it's a little bit altered from what actually happens like in the movie. They make it more friendly to like Hollywood, I guess. But he was younger when his dad got cancer. He was like about 19. And when his dad passed away, and when they were sitting like at his deathbed, Bart was sitting with his grandma, and she leaned over to him and said, "I can only imagine what he is seeing now." And that was the inspiration for the song. And that like stood out to me. Like, I'm not gonna like go through all the lyrics of the song because that was like what really stood out to me was like, we need to ask ourselves, what are we gonna do when we're standing in front of God on like the entryway to heaven? Like in the song it says like, will I dance for you, Jesus, or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence, or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? And I never really thought about what I'd do like at the gates of heaven. I guess I'd just be like, what's up? Like, I'm walking in, like whatever. Like I didn't really think about like the logistics behind it of like what would actually happen when I see God for the first time. Like I don't know what the gates of heaven look like. But I thought that was interesting how he's like, will I be able to speak at all? Like I honestly don't think I think I might just be awestruck. So I don't know if you guys have ever thought about that, but like I was like want to pose the question, have you ever thought about meeting God and like how you would react? Like I thought of multiple ways. I'm like, oh, like maybe I'd just like fall to my knees and like pray. I don't know. I would just like walk in and like hug him. I don't know. And then I brought it up to my dad and he's like, oh, yo, would you dap up God? I'm like, I would not dap up God. Okay. Like, I don't think that's very appropriate. But I don't know what I would do. So I don't know what you guys, if you thought of anything.
Well, I feel like, yeah, I've thought about it because of the song. Fun fact, I saw Mercy Me at Coors Field after a Rockies game one time. That was pretty fun. They had like worship day or whatever. So they always have like a Christian band after the game. So that was pretty cool. Also, I love the song Even If.
Yes.
That's a good one. But anyways, I feel like, yeah, it's either like I feel like I'd be like freak out and like not do anything, or I'd be like supernatural and like super normal and be like, oh hey, what's up, you know? So I feel like it's one of those two. It's kind of like the fight, flight, or freeze thing, I think, where like what do you do when you're like in a crisis? I feel like it's the same thing. It's like I wouldn't actually know until I get there, but I don't know. It could go many ways, I guess.
I don't know. I've always thought I would just running, give him a hug. Just, I don't know. I'm a hugger and I don't know. I love hug. And I think if he was like standing there, I wouldn't like fall to my knees. I think that, I mean, while appropriate, I think that's just not who I am. And I feel like my relationship with God is more personal than just like, I don't know. To me, that's signaling, yeah, like he's more powerful than you, but it's also like, I don't know. I don't know how I'm trying to describe this, but I feel like I would just go in for a hug instead of just like kneeling and being like, oh, you're almighty and powerful and I am a worthless worm. Like, no, I'm like not just worthless. Like I have meaning, you know, that's why I don't think I would go to my knees. I think I would, I have pretty strong feelings that I would just go in for a hug, but like Sophie said, you never know till you get there.
Well, see, the thing is too, like sometimes I wonder like what he's gonna look like or like what form he takes, you know? Like what if we see him though and he's like not a person, then you can't really hug him. But then like he probably would take that form just to like greet us, I feel like. But then like I just wonder, like I'd also be interested to see like if he's like, I don't know, just not a person. Like if it's just like a cloud or something. That'd be kind of cool actually. I don't know. I just think about like what he actually looks like or like the form. I just feel like we say he looks like a person. Yeah, I mean you could hug anything theoretically, I guess. But I just feel like that we think he's a person because it's easier for us to like understand. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Anyways, that's my answer.
Yeah, that's also how he's like portrayed in like everything. It's like, oh, like I mean Jesus, like obviously, like we see very like similar drawings of him and like depictions of him. Like everyone has like a certain view of God and like a certain view of Jesus, and we like picture it to look as like a human form versus it could be like a spirit type thing. But yeah, I think that would definitely change how I react. But that this song just like made me think about that, and I don't know, it just made me like deepen my thoughts. But anyways, to get to the meat of it, because I didn't want to keep you guys too long, so I know we have homework and all that good stuff.
We love.
And so I chose this song to go with this passage in Philippians by Paul, because it reminded me, like, it's like the father figure in the movie, because he like hated the Christians, like was not a believer, and that same with like Paul, he was Pharisee and like persecuted the church, but then later had like a change of heart, and like later he said, everything else is worthless when compared with the infinite value of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord. So it was a complete flip of the switch. He went from persecuting the church to loving the church, loving God. focusing entirely on God. So the focus of tonight is clarity. And I think it's also good that we push this back to like the week of first week of classes for Sophie and I know Andrea's already finished her first week, but like starting school again and like finding clarity, finding our focus, what we want to prioritize. And I know that time management is a huge thing, especially right now in college. So I wanted to focus on that. I think it works well with the song, works well with our timing in our lives. And so I wanted to just focus on these verses from Philippians. So it starts off, it's in chapter 3, verse 12 through 14. I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things or that I have already reached perfection for which Christ Jesus first possessed me. No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus on this one thing. Forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead, I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Christ Jesus, is calling us. So that's like the bulk, and I'm going to break it down like verse by verse, and I have 5 things that we need to do to gain clarity in our lives based on the things he says in this passage. So the first thing is clarity comes to you when you evaluate. So it starts off by saying, I don't mean to say that I have already achieved these things. This is Paul saying, like, he's reevaluating his life. He's looking back and he's like, I haven't already achieved these things. I have so many other things I want to achieve and I want to get closer to God. And so I want you guys to ask yourself, is my time and money reflecting my priorities? So I want you to like categorize where you're spending your time and where you like, I think time is the most important thing to categorize. I mean, money is obviously important, like in some respects, depending on what you value. And so like, I challenge you to like write down, where do you like spend your like time the most? And I like did this myself, and I like realized that I spent, I think, way too much time alone when my goal in life is to spend time with others and develop relationships. And so I thought that was super interesting how I was like, oh, like I do this, I watch TV, I study for X amount of hours, I work out by myself, like all these things by myself that I thought I was like, oh, I'm being super productive, I'm taking time for myself, whereas I could be doing those things with people or cutting down that time and spending. Obviously it's tough with COVID, but I think that I can always spend more time with my parents, and hopefully, like, and I just spent time with Sophie, and hopefully I'll go visit Andrea, or hopefully you won't have to come back home, but like selfishly, I'd like you to come back home, so I'm not alone. But yeah, I want you to like categorize, like you don't have to do this, I'm just suggesting that you categorize where you spend your time, how you spend your time, what's important in your life, like what kind of life do you want to lead, what is your goal, and then also you can take a look at how much time you spend. Like obviously I don't spend enough time with God, getting to know God, reading the Bible, and I was like looking at that, and because I like read the Bible in the morning, because that's like I just do that on my phone, that's really easy to do, but that's pretty quick. And then I pray at night. So like honestly, I probably take 30 minutes a day with God. And I'm challenging myself to spend more time and like read the Bible throughout the day, like when I have breaks in between classes. And so I like have that goal for myself because I want to spend my life with God and I want to spend my life with people. And so those are my 2 things that I'm evaluating in my life. So the next thing is clarity comes when you choose a direction. In Philippians 3, verse 12, it says, but I press on. And so, and Paul's basically saying, like, through the trials in his life, he's going to press on. Like, even if he's faced with adversity, he's going to keep going. He wants, like, his end goal, his direction is towards God. And that's his end goal. So he just presses on, doesn't let things distract him. And he lets the Bible be, like, the Bible is, like, the roadmap to our lives. And we need to like surround ourselves with people who also like have the same values as us and don't push you to temptation, and like you want friends that will have like a similar direction as you and want to go in the same directions, because that will only help you, that won't hurt you. And so we've talked about this before, but I always like to emphasize this because sometimes I like get caught in like having friendships that like aren't the best for me, or like I sacrifice too much to like be in a friendship. And so I wanted to ask you guys, like, what qualities do you look for in a friend? Like honesty and trust, like what's most important for you?
Really
What?
Trustworthy
Yes.
for me. If I can't trust you to tell you things about my life that you A, won't tell to other people, or B, like, just to trust you in life to be there to support me through the good and the bad, and like I know that I'll be there for you. If you can't have my back like that, then I don't want to be friends with you.
I'd also say like, yeah, like respect and like, I don't know, like they have to reciprocate. Like yeah, like you can't have like one-sided friendships, I guess. And so I think a lot of that is respect too, and like I don't know, just being respectful of each other and like your beliefs and like being a good friend to each other and like giving as much as like they're giving. Otherwise it seems very like lopsided.
Yeah. I think that I've like definitely been like evaluating my friendships a lot more in college, and like we've talked about this a lot with like our high school friends, like evaluating that, and we're like what are they adding to our like to this relationship, what are they subtracting like from me. And I think that is just like important to just like have high quality people in your life when you're just trying to, like, if you have a certain like path in life, you don't want like things slowing you down or dragging you down. Like you want people to uplift you, you want positive people in your life, you want people that you can trust, you want people that are honest, like, and you want people that respect you and bring enough to the table that you bring back. Like you want an equal relationship. So I just wanted to bring that up. So then I always like to remind myself, I'm like, this person adds a lot to my life, like, and then I'm like, others like don't, like maybe I shouldn't be putting in as much effort as I do, I shouldn't be worrying as much about them because I don't think they're worrying about me. And so that was just one thing I wanted to bring up. Then the third thing is clarity comes when you focus. And in this, Paul says, but I focus on this one thing, and that's God. And once you've chosen your direction, you just need to, like, nothing else matters. Like he even said it, like nothing else matters but God. And I think that's almost, I think of it when I'm worried and stressed about a bunch of different things. I just like take a step back, refocus, and I'm like, I trust God, and He's gonna, like, this is all working out for a reason. Like this whole COVID thing, me being stuck at home, like this is happening for a reason. Like I'm putting my full trust in Him and not getting like sidetracked and unfocused, and like putting my mind on that one thing, and that's God. And that's like helping to distract from the stress and the emotions. But yeah. And the fourth thing is clarity comes when you move beyond your past. And so this one I've noticed, like in some of my friends, like at school, like they just focus too much on their past or like something they did in the past, and they can't move past it. And like I can see that they're a genuinely like good person, and they can't see themselves through my eyes. And so I think that's really important, as Paul says, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. That's the most, like, you're going to get dragged down by your past. And if Paul were to get dragged down by his past, like his job was literally to arrest people who were believers in God. But he didn't let that sidetrack him. He like completely gave himself to God. But he wouldn't be able to do that if he didn't forget his past. And if that's why we have forgiveness, as God forgave him for his past. And so I just have a little demonstration that I saw at Timberline Church that I really liked. So I have this white piece of paper. Can you see this? White both sides. All right. What do you see?
A dot.
All right, so this little dot represents your past. There's all this white space, all this potential for your future, but the only thing you can look at is the little white dot, like the little blue dot. And
That's
so you need to, what?
That's very accurate.
Yeah, and so I stole this from Pastor Derry, but I
it.
thought it really stuck with me, and so I remembered it I was going to do it at one of these times for Faith Forum. But like when he said, like, you need to own your dot. You can't just like you need to be like, I made mistakes in the past and I acknowledge that, but you can't blame yourself or someone else for this behavior. You need to own it. And then like another thing is you need to like say sorry if like something affected someone else, like say sorry and ask for forgiveness. That's the only way to move on and move past it. And like the last thing you need to do is forgive yourself. You can't move on until you've forgiven yourself, and that's like the last step to moving on past your little blue dot and not having that be the only thing you can see. You have so much potential. You have all that white space to fill your future with, and don't let that dot get in the way.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Apparently my meeting's at 6, not 7.
Oh, yeah, no.
So I have to go.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
But
good.
this was great, and I'm gonna watch the recording of the
Okay.
rest of it.
Bye, Sophie.
Bye.
Bye. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay.
Okay, love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you. Well, I only have a little bit
There were
left.
2.
What?
And then there were 2.
Then there too. Yeah, I doubt Jess is coming, but oh well.
Here we are.
Here we are. What's new?
Keep going. I
All
love
right.
what you're saying so far.
So then I have like my last thing about clarity is it comes when you find your motivation. And so Paul says, I press on to reach the end of the race and to receive the heavenly prize for which God through Christ Jesus is calling us. That's Paul's motivation. That's his why. Like I know I've talked in past things. What's your why? Like everyone is motivated by different things, whether that be like material items, psychological needs, like needing to be like liked by people. But Paul is motivated by the spiritual side, which is to know, like his want and urge to know Christ. And so I think we always need to ask ourselves, like, what is our motivation? What is our why? Why are we doing, like, why are we going to college? Like, ask yourself, why are you going to college? Why do you go to Bible study? Why do you read the Bible? Like, why do you work? Like, if you have a job, or why do you want to be in a relationship? Or like, why do you want to be in a relationship with your friends? Like, ask yourself why, and that will help you so much in everything you do. I just had this quick little video that I wanted to show. Have you heard of the fisherman and the businessman? Like
Yes.
Yeah, and so it's a quick little video I'll show. I'll share my screen, but it has to do with the motivation and why factor, why we do things.
A management consultant on holiday in an African fishing village watched a little fishing boat dock at the quayside. Noting the quality of the fish, the consultant asked the fisherman how long it had taken to catch them. Not very long, answered the fisherman. Well, then why didn't you stay out longer and catch more? Asked the consultant. The fisherman explained that his small catch was sufficient to meet his needs and those of his family. The consultant asked, but what do you do with the rest of your time? I sleep late, fish a little, play with my children, have an afternoon's rest under a coconut tree. In the evenings, I go into the community hall to see my friends, have a few beers, play the drums, and sing a few songs. I have a full and happy life, replied the fisherman. The consultant ventured, I have an MBA from Harvard and I can help you. You should start by fishing longer every day. You can then sell the extra fish you catch. With the extra revenue, you can buy a bigger boat. With the extra money the larger boat will bring, you can buy a second one, and a third one, and so on, until you have a large fleet. Instead of selling your fish to the middleman, you can negotiate directly with the processing plants, and maybe even open your own plant. You can then leave this little village and move to a city here, or maybe even the UK, from where you can direct your huge enterprise. How long would that take? Asked the fisherman. Oh, 10, maybe 20 years, replied the consultant. And after that? Asked the fisherman. After that? That's when it gets really interesting, answered the consultant, laughing. When your business gets really big, you can start selling shares in your company and make millions. Millions? Really? And after that? Pressed the fisherman. After that, you'll be able to retire, move out to a small village by the sea, sleep in late every day, spend time with your family, go fishing, take afternoon naps under a coconut tree, and spend relaxing evenings having drinks with friends.
So I like that little story because we constantly strive to like be like successful, like be independent, live on our own, like provide for ourselves. but like we have to keep in mind why we're doing it. And if you already like have everything you need and everything you want to be happy, why do you keep like pushing and going? Like I think of my dad in this scenario because like he's worked so hard like up until this point, and now he's like, you know what, like I only need to go into work for X amount of hours like today, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna come back home early for like dinner. I'm gonna come home at 4 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock because now that like we have like all of our needs met, he wants to fulfill his like wants and like spend time with us and spend time with his family because that's what's important to him. And so I feel like he really embodies this like because he's always working like he was working all the time like when I was younger, and now he's like taking time to be like I need to focus on what's important to me, and that's my family. And if he was just working all the time, like it's like, oh great, we get one more vacation, but like that's not really what's important. It's like the day-to-day things, like him coming home early and surprising us and like spending quality time with us versus just like being exhausted from his day at work. And so I think of like it's okay to be entrepreneurial, like is that even how to say it? Entrepreneurial? Whatever. But it's important to know why like you're striving to get this, like what's your end goal. And if it's not to be happy, then you need to rethink your whole like process. But yeah, it was like this whole like clarity thing is the underlying thing is why do we do everything we do, and like what is our end goal. And we should like constantly be reminding ourselves of the end goal, because then we're going to get distracted, we're going to veer off the path. And I definitely like am trying to challenge myself to get closer to God and to like spend more time with him. And I think that, and the big why is like because we have eternity with him, and that like is we're only here for like a short amount of time and the rest of the time is with him, and that's my why. And so I'm like, why wouldn't I just focus on him completely, because that's what I want, that's my want, is to spend eternity with God. And so that's just what I got out of like this clarity message, and I hope that it came across that way. And then also like I wanted to invite you to ABS at like it's a Holy Cross based, but now like half the kids don't even go to Holy Cross. It's a bunch of kids from everywhere. And so I wanted to shout out that because I'll be doing that on Wednesday nights now instead of doing this. So if you want to,
What time is that at?
it's 6:30 on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So it might be tough to make because I know it's like dinner time, but
6:30 my time?
yeah, 6:30 your time.
Oh no, that'll be fine.
Our time.
Thursdays are normally my morning off anyway, so that would be fine. That's in the recording, but yeah.
Wait,
I just forgot that it was recording. So, anyways, it's Thursdays are my morning off for morning practices, so I don't go to bed early.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Normally, I go to bed at like 9 p.m.
Yeah, because it's 8:30 East Coast time, but it's 6:30 for us. Yeah. And so, yeah, and then I also want to challenge you to watch the movie I Can Only Imagine. I don't know where you can watch it.
I think it's on Amazon Prime.
Okay, yeah, it's really good. And my dad was crying when he watched it.
Oh my god, that probably means I'll cry. I literally cry at every movie.
You'll definitely cry.
I'm a movie crier. I think it's on Amazon Prime. Could be wrong, but
it might be. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording now. But that's our last faith form. I might like jump in and do it like randomly when I feel like it, but I just don't know if I will have time with school, and I don't want to be spending any more time on my laptop than.
Well, and also if you're doing the other Bible study on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I mean I've been doing both this summer, but now I'm just gonna do the one on Wednesdays. Nice. All right, I'm gonna stop recording.